entering the fantasy football season and fantasy drafts in the next few weeks. Here's the top 20 quarterbacks I'm ranking heading into the year. The first guy, who else would it be than Patrick Mahomes, two-time Super Bowl winner of the Kansas City Chiefs. So Patrick Mahomes, we know he's had a great career so far in the early going, and he could put up numbers anytime, big numbers any places. Mahomes, obviously, he don't have a great receiving core, but when you got a Travis Kelce and you make receivers better, that's just what Patrick Mahomes does. Last season coming off arguably his best statistical season of his NFL career. And right now, quarterbacks, they usually start in reasonable drafts, end of the second, third round range. So right now, Mahomes, Hurts, and Josh Allen are the big three quarterbacks. But I'd just rather have Mahomes. He's done it for more than those guys over the last few seasons. And like I said, he's got the pedigree and he's still hungry to win right now as Patrick Mahomes. So right now, when you have him and a Travis Kelce and the plays they can make, obviously, I got Mahomes number one. But if you did take Hurts or Josh Allen number one either, it's not that far off in my opinion. But I just prefer Mahomes number one if I want to get the first quarterback in my draft. Number two, Jalen Hurts of the Philadelphia Eagles. So this Eagle team, they've loaded up over the last few seasons, and Hurts made the huge jump, obviously, from 2021 to the 22 season. We know he can run the football very well as Hurts. He's got an arsenal of weapons over there in Philadelphia with A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, who are two top 30 guys in fantasy football. Dallas Goedert at tight end, and you had DeAndre Swift and Rashad Penny to the backfield as well. So right now, a lot of weapons over there in Philly. We know Hurts could run the football. Like I said, he could get 600-700 yards on the ground, and that's why I have him just a little bit over Josh Allen. I think this season Josh Allen is going to take a little bit of a step back in terms of running the football, throwing the football. Obviously, he's one of the best throwers, if not the best thrower. Him and Mahomes, I believe, with the football, getting it in the tight pockets and getting it anywhere. So right now, Jalen Hurts, I got number two, just a little bit more weapons, and I think he's going to use his legs just a little bit more than Josh Allen this season. Number three, Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills. So Josh Allen, they went out there and got him some help in the NFL draft, drafting Dalton Kincaid. And in the backfield, I think James Cook's going to be the man over there this season, with Singletary leaving in free agency and Damian Harris being the short yardage guy for this Buffalo Bill team. But right now, Josh Allen, you can't go wrong with him. Another 4,500-yard season, 35 touchdowns in the year. Probably still 400 or 500 yards rushing the football, with anywhere from 5 to 10 touchdowns there as well. And I just want to see him get more guys involved each and every year, and that's what he's been doing, is Allen. But if he could get Gabe Davis on the same page with him. After last season, Davis had a down year after the breakout playoff season last year. If Davis could be healthier with the ankle injury, Stephon Diggs and Allen are on the same page supposedly now. So right now, like I said, whatever you want, it wouldn't be crazy if you took Allen first or Hurts first. But right now, I got Allen in three, number 14 Fields of the Chicago Bears. So I know Justin Fields, not a great thrower of the football, but the playmaking ability and the running ability. Last season, we saw once they unleashed him, he was at least getting 80 yards per game, it seemed like, on the ground with a touchdown each and every week. Was Justin Fields. I know he's a little bit injury prone now with the shoulder injury and taking the hits. He's not the biggest of quarterbacks to go out there and run Justin Fields. But this offseason, the Bears front office, they went out there and they helped Justin Fields. They got DJ Moore in a trade. Obviously, they had the hard draft pick, but traded away to move down a little bit to get DJ Moore. You got Cole Kmet, I think, is going to have a good season at the tight end position. Claypool's over there, even though he hasn't done much really in training camp so far. And also, you got Darnell Mooney. So right now, solid weapons, I believe, on the offense. Khalil Herbert could catch the ball out of the backfield. And Deonta Foreman as well. He could open up the running lanes, and he's a physical runner, is Foreman. So right now, the Bears, like I said, they got some weapons here for Justin Fields. His running ability is sky's the limit. We know last season he rushed over 1,000 yards. And if he plays a full slate, it wouldn't be surprising if he could get 1,200 yards on the ground this season. So with the added weapons and his rushing abilities, is Justin Fields. That's why I got him in number 4 and number 5, Joe Burrow of the Cincinnati Bengals. So Joe Burrow, I would have had him higher up on the list. But now, the last few weeks here, he's obviously dealing with a calf injury, and he should be ready to go week 1. But I also read some reports a few weeks ago that Jamar Chase said Burrow should take it easy, and when they'll need him and he's 100% and possibly week 5, he could come out and play. So that's a little bit concerning here that Jamar Chase said that, thinking Burrow should wait to week 5 to play. But still, Burrow's got great weapons on his offense as well. He's an up-and-coming quarterback over the last few seasons and already one of the elite quarterbacks in the league. When you got a Jamar Chase, a T. Higgins, over there. They added Irv Smith, the tight end this season. Tyler Boyd, a solid number 3 receiver. Joe Mixon out of the backfield. That's a solid offense, no doubt about it. But like I said, this injury is a little bit concerning to me with Joe Burrow, with reports obviously. So right now, I would have had him most likely at 4. He'd possibly hitting that number 3 spot as Burrow. But with the injury and the unknown right now, I'm going to have him at 5. Number 6, Lamar Jackson of the Baltimore Ravens. I know Lamar Jackson, he's higher on most people's list. He's usually the 4th or 5th quarterback over there. But right now, I think Lamar Jackson, we got to see what he could do and see if he could stay healthy. The last 2 seasons, he definitely missed ball games, and I felt like he quit on his team a little bit. But obviously in the offseason, this Raven team committed to Jackson with the monster contract and went out there and made some moves to help this offense. They went and got Odell Beckham. We'll see if he's washed up or not, obviously. They drafted Zay Flowers, who's an impressive rookie wide receiver last season in college football. And you obviously got one of the best tight ends in the league in Mark Andrews. In the backfield, the J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, and Melvin Gordon if he makes the team. So right now, pretty solid offense. We know Lamar still has wheels. Last season, in only 12 ball games, he rushed over 700 yards. And we'll see if he could crack the 1,000-yard mark. But this season, with more weapons on the outside and the receiver position, maybe Lamar is going to be a running back, that they slow his roll a little bit in running the football. But right now, like I said, Lamar, I feel like he quit on his team a little bit over the last few seasons, and the injuries are definitely a concern. But now he got his contract, maybe he's motivated, even though we know sometimes guys go the other way and they don't live up to the deal. But anyway, Lamar Jackson right now, I'm going to play it a little bit safe, and I got him at 6. Number 7, Justin Herbert of Los Angeles Chargers. Great value, in my opinion, here for Justin Herbert at the number 7 quarterback, because I think this season he's got a possibility top 5 and possibly top 3. He is Justin Herbert. He's got a lot of weapons on the offense. Kellen Moore brought in the offensive coordinator, where he likes to push that ball down the field. And let's be honest, last season Herbert had a lot of injuries on that offense. Obviously, Keenan Allen missed 10 ball games plus. Mike Williams, he was in and out of the lineup. And just the offense was stagnant at times with too many dinks and ducks, when Herbert's got one of the best arms and accuracies in the league. So right now, Herbert, I got him at 7. But like I said, if he could finish in the top 3 or 5, it's not going to be surprising to me. And to add Quentin Johnson in the NFL draft as well is another added weapon to a already loaded offense, with Austin Eckler, who's one of the best receivers out of the backfield, obviously. Then you got Quentin Johnson they added to the mix to go with Mike Williams, Keenan Allen if he stays healthy, and Gerald Everett. So I really like this offense over here in Los Angeles. And I got Herbert at 7. Number 8, Trevor Lawrence of the Jacksonville Jaguars. So Trevor Lawrence, the first year, his rookie year was a disaster, but last season, this Jaguar team and Lawrence really put it together in the second half. And now to add another weapon to the offense like a Calvin Ridley is a huge plus in my opinion. I know Ridley, he missed all last season after the suspension, but so far, great reports out of training camp. He looks pretty quick on the video, is Calvin Ridley, and he's a true number 1 wide receiver. After Julio Jones left the Falcons a few years ago, after they cut him loose, Calvin Ridley, he was putting up huge numbers, and obviously he was a top 20 fantasy football player. So now to have a Calvin Ridley in that offense, to go with Christian Kirk, who had a good first season with Jacksonville, Zay Jones over there as well, Evan Ingram, Travis Etienne, and Tank Bigsby out of the backfield. That's a pretty loaded offense. And Trevor Lawrence, he has some wheels as well, where he could possibly run for 300-400 yards this season here. So I like the weapons over there in Jacksonville. He was the first pick overall a few seasons ago for a reason. And if I would have to settle for Trevor Lawrence, let's say in the 6th, 7th round, confident this year. He plays in a pretty weak division, in my opinion. And to add a playmaker like a Calvin Ridley, I don't care that he sat out a year. That's a huge get, obviously, for Lawrence, and bumps up his fantasy value. Number 9, Tua Tagovailoa of the Miami Dolphins. At Tua last season, he was on a tear until he got the scary injury and the concussion. And many people thought his career was over, or whatever the case may be, but he overcame 2 concussions and came back. And his offense, you want to talk about speed and playmakers. Obviously, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, receiving tandem in the NFL here. Tua's got this year and last season. So Tua, he's got great accuracy. He's got a good release quickly to hit those quick players. And this season now, second year in the Mike McDaniel system, I think it's going to be better for Tua. As long as he stays healthy, this guy has potential to be top 5 in fantasy points at the quarterback position. He was a highly touted college player. I know injuries are concerned, but right now he fits Mike McDaniel's system like a glove. And he's got the huge playmakers, like I said, and also In the backfield, they got some good veterans in Mostert, Jeff Wilson, and I wouldn't sleep on Devin Ike as well to be a big part of this backfield where he could catch the football as well. So right now, as long as Tua is healthy, he definitely could finish in the top 5, top 7 range, I believe, in fantasy points. But I got him in 9. Number 10, Deshaun Watson of the Cleveland Browns. So now no more off the field issues, obviously, here for Deshaun Watson finally. He could just focus on football. And this Brown team, they got a good arsenal of weapons as well. You got Nick Chubb, one of the best backs in the league back there. You got Amari Cooper, had a very solid season in his first year in Cleveland last year, even though obviously he was majority with Jacoby Brissett. Then you got People Jones, who broke out last season. They traded for Elijah Moore from the New York Jets. And you got David Njoku, who I'm not a big fan of in terms of fantasy football, but he's a tight end that at least could get open and make plays from time to time. So I like the offense over there in Cleveland. That division, there's going to be a lot of shootout ball games. And Watson as well, we know this guy's capable of rushing for 500-600 yards easily if he gets his legs under him once again. So right now, quarterback this season is solid compared to other years, I believe, because even here at the number 10 spot, I think these 10 guys definitely could be consistent scorers week in and week out for your fantasy team. So if you want to wait on quarterback, I would be confident with Lawrence or Tua or Watson in like the 8th or 9th round. But then after that, I think it does get a little bit shaky here. Number 11, Anthony Richardson of the Indianapolis Colts, already named the starter here for week 1, is Anthony Richardson. And the Colts, they've been through the quarterback carousel for seasons now, since obviously Andrew Luck retired, surprisingly. So Anthony Richardson, the only reason I got him up here, he could be a Justin Fields type from last season, running over 1,000 yards. He's just got that type of running ability. Here's Richardson, and a guy who could just be a playmaker and make nothing into something. So right now with his running ability and a pretty decent Colt offense, but obviously it depends on Jonathan Taylor if he's going to be healthy and report to camp and start getting going for this Colt team, even though we know he wants a new contract and requested a trade supposedly. But Richardson, he's got Michael Pittman, you got Alec Pierce, who I think is pretty solid as well here for this team, but they just didn't get him the ball enough last season. But like I said, they think they got their franchise quarterback. They got confidence in him, and I think they're just going to let him go out there, this Colt team, and make things happen. And that's what Richardson did, obviously, in his college career, and that's why he was a top 5 pick. So right now, I know it's a little risky at number 11 for the rookie Richardson, where he has to work on his mechanics and throws off that back foot a little too much. But in terms of running the football and having the knack to find the end zone on the runs as well, and we know he's got a cannon, he just has to work on the footwork. I think he's a quarterback that could surprise people, and I like him in 11 this season. Number 12, Aaron Rodgers of the New York Jets. Aaron Rodgers last season, I did have him in a few fantasy leagues, and he was just very disappointed, barely hitting 220 yards per ball game, and he was pretty much topping out at 18 to 20 fantasy points as Rodgers. So supposedly he wanted out of Green Bay. Now he's out of Green Bay, and now all the hype with this New York Jet team, but I got to see it, to be honest, because the Jets, I know they got some players, but they got aging guys. Rodgers, 39 years old. Dalvin Cook, they brought in 28. Running backs are usually on the decline over there. I know Gary Wilson, a lot of people are hyped for him. Definitely had a great first season. But yes, he definitely has a good offense over there, is Aaron Rodgers. Just a little bit more pieces with this Jet team than he did in Green Bay. So right now, to have a Gary Wilson, who had a great rookie season, Breece Hall coming off the ACL, hopefully he's healthy and can get things going once again. Also, Alan Lazard coming with him and Randall Cobb, signing as free agents after Rodgers traded to the New York Jets. A Green Bay Packer team coming to the Jets. So right now, he's got everything around him here. It's Conklin and Uzomah at tight end as well. And he's got good weapons as Rodgers. But after last season, and obviously you can't beat Father Time at 39 years old. We'll see if Rodgers can get things going. But like I said, he's got the weapons. He is in a tough division, though, with the Bills, New England, even though I know they haven't been great the last few seasons. Belichick has always had the Jets numbers, and the Miami Dolphins as well. So right now, Rodgers has his work cut out for him, I believe. But I think he still could produce top 12 numbers. Number 13, Dak Prescott of the Dallas Cowboys. So Dak Prescott, the problem with him is a lot of inconsistency. Some ball games, he'll go out there and score 4 or 5 touchdowns we've seen. And then on some weeks, he throws for 150 yards with a touchdown and a couple interceptions. So right now, he's been inconsistent. The interceptions have gone up over the last 2 seasons here for Dak Prescott. And obviously, they did add weapons to this offense. You're adding Brandon Cooks. I know they lost Dalton Schultz, but I think Jake Ferguson will be decent in that role here, filling in for Dalton Schultz for the Dallas Cowboys. And it's just go time now. No more excuses for Dak Prescott. But honestly, I wouldn't be confident in 12-team leagues to draft him as my quarterback unless obviously I get one of these other quarterbacks that I'm going to talk about with him or one of these guys before him. But right now, I just can't trust Dak. After last season, he was a pick machine towards the end of the year. And just too many inconsistent games, even though I know he's got a good offense, obviously, with Cooks, CeeDee Lamb, Tony Pollard, who can catch 50, 60 passes out of the backfield this season. Number 14, Kirk Cousins of the Minnesota Vikings. So Cousins last season, he had a solid year, I believe, for fantasy football. I know some games he was like a Dak Prescott in a way as well, where he just couldn't put up consistent numbers week in and week out, but they were ball games where he did score 40 plus fantasy points a few times last year. So he's got a great offense, obviously, with Justin Jefferson, the best receiver in the league. Alexander Mattison, I think he's going to be solid in the backfield, fill in for Dalvin Cook, who they got cut loose here, is Minnesota. And Jordan Addison, I think, could be a great wide receiver as well as a number 2 with Adam Thielen, whose production obviously went down over the last few seasons, and they cut him loose. And TJ Hawkinson was a big acquisition at the trade deadline. So right now, no more excuses as well for Kirk Cousins. They built a great offense around him over there in Minnesota, and there's no reason, in my opinion, he should put up at least 4,500 yards and 30-plus passing touchdowns as Cousins this season. But right now, I can't trust him as a top 10 guy. And there's, like I said, a lot of talented quarterbacks this season. And now I'm at the bottom half. But I got Cousins at 14, 15. Daniel Jones of the New York Giants. Of the Giants here, they added some weapons to the offense. You got Darren Waller, even though I don't know if he's going to have that great of a season this year. Paris Campbell, Cole Beasley added to the mix. So they brought in a lot of wide receivers in this Giant team. Because last season, let's be honest, he was throwing to Richie James and Isaiah Hodgins that people really didn't even know who they were last year for this New York Giant team. But anyway, they got good receivers this year. But the only thing with me is I think Daniel Jones might be a bust a little bit because he ran a lot last season, over 700 yards, I believe he had. I don't know if he's going to run as much this season. Obviously, they gave Saquon Barkley the franchise tag. I think they're going to run him into the ground 350 times with touches between receptions, obviously, and running the football. And also, he's going to have to pass a little bit more, where obviously you get more fantasy points if you get those extra 70, 80 yards. So like I said, last season, Daniel Jones, it was a great year for him, and he cashed in with the huge contract, making $45 million a year. But I think this season, they might force him to throw a little bit too much as this Giant team because they made some acquisitions on the outside. And obviously, he'll take away from his running. But right now, if you want to go with Daniel Jones as a backup quarterback or a second quarterback in 2 quarterback leagues, that's something that I think's reasonable. But right now, if you go in with him as a starter, it's not what I think will help fantasy owners much. He was inconsistent as well for most part of the year. Number 16, Jared Goff of the Detroit Lions. So Jared Goff last season, he was top 12 in fantasy points at the position, and he had great games as Goff. I know a lot of garbage time early in the year, but this Lion team finished off the season pretty well with cherry on top as well, knocking Rodgers and the Packers out of a playoff berth in that final game of the year. So right now, going into the year, new backfield with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, who I think is going to be a great player for this Detroit Lion team. On Ross St. Brown, I'm big on him this season as a top six receiver. And Laporta at tight end, I think, could turn some heads. So right now, this Lion offense pretty solid once again this season. But Jared Goff, we know we don't have the strongest of arms. And we know he's been inconsistent as well. I know last season was a great year for him, but I don't know if he's going to do that once again, especially if Jahmyr Gibbs could be that huge workhorse running back with David Montgomery over there. I know that Jamal Williams last season, but let's be real, Gibbs could be a top 10 running back this season when it's all said and done. And they might run the football a little bit more. And also Gibbs is a good receiver out of the backfield. Number 17, Geno Smith of the Seattle Seahawks. So Geno Smith last season, he took the league by storm. And this Seahawk team, they actually knew that Russell Wilson might have been washed, or his better days, I should say, were behind him. But Geno Smith came in, and he had a top 12 performance in fantasy points at the quarterback position. But I don't see him duplicating it once again this season here as Geno Smith. I know they got good weapons with a Lockett, DK Metcalf, Smith, the rookie, and Jabba that they drafted this season, who a lot of people are raving about. But right now, I think, obviously, this team here, they're going to want to run the football as well, I think, this Seahawk team. And more teams have seen film on Geno and going to try to stop him because you got Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. two solid running backs they've drafted over the last couple seasons here. And I think Seattle's going to want to go back to the ground and pound and get this defense back on track. So I know Geno had a great year last season, no doubt about it. But I don't see him doing it once again this season. So right now, I got him at 17. But the same thing as Daniel Jones. If you want him as a number 2 quarterback, as a backup, or a 2 quarterback in a 2 quarterback league, if you play that, or a super flex league, that's fine. But right now, I got him at 17, and I don't think he reaches the numbers he did last season. Number 18, Jordan Love of the Green Bay Packers. So Jordan Love, I'm pretty confident this year that he could do some things, and I had him as a sleeper as well this season. So Jordan Love right now, he's pretty much going undrafted in most fantasy leagues. And right now, after 15, this is pretty much the back end of the list for deeper leagues. And like I said, 2 quarterback leagues. But Love, they obviously have confidence in him as this Packer team. I feel like in a way they wanted Rodgers to go, just like they did Brett Favre, and see what the kid has. You know, Jordan Love, he didn't play much over the last few seasons since they drafted him. But this Packer offense, I still think has potential. That division, it's going to be a little bit tight, I think, even though Minnesota, I think, takes it. But this Packer team, I think, can compete. And Jordan Love could run the football as well. Christian Watson last season, what a second half he had. Romeo Doubs, I think he's going to be a solid wide receiver. And you still got a backfield of, obviously, Aaron Jones was still a solid back. And A.J. Dillon, so a good nucleus over there, I believe, for this Green Bay Packer team. And like I said, Jordan Love, he definitely had to pick Rodgers' brain. And watching on the sidelines for a few seasons definitely could have helped him out as well, like it did for Rodgers watching Brett Favre those few seasons before they gave him the reins. So right now, I think Love could take the league by surprise a little bit. And I think he could be a decent quarterback. So I got him in 18, 19, Russell Wilson of the Denver Broncos. So Russell Wilson, what a horrible season it was for him last year. But this Bronco team, in a season, they turned around the coaching staff. And going from Hackett now to Sean Payton is a night and day type of thing, in my opinion. And he still has good weapons, but last season it didn't work out. Jerry Jeudy, he had some flash games last year. Cortland Sutton, health has always been an issue, but backfield, the Javonte Williams already healthy and back is surprising. And Samaje Perine, I think, was an underrated signing. And Wilson and Greg Dulcich did have a good rapport last season. So right now there is some upside in this offense over there in Denver. But Russell Wilson, he's another guy going up there in age, and he's got a lot of miles on his body as well. So right now, his peak is obviously number 2 quarterback as a backup, or number 2 quarterback in 2 quarterback leagues here. I'm not going to go out there in a 12-team league and draft Russell Wilson as my starter. It wouldn't surprise me if Wilson could finish around that top 12 range with a Sean Payton as a head coach to motivate him and get guys in the right position. But I don't know, after what I saw last season, it was just hard to see Russell Wilson really turn it around. And the 20th and final quarterback I've ranked here is Brock Purdy of the San Francisco 49ers. So Purdy, he's going to be the man week 1. We know he tore that elbow up in the NFC Championship last year versus the Philadelphia Eagles. But hey, this San Francisco 49er team, they have a lot of confidence in him, obviously. Jimmy G, that led walk in free agency to the Raiders. Trey Lance, we know they drafted him very high a few seasons ago, but he hasn't done anything in training camp, and he's coming off the injury as well. And Brock Purdy, he was great for this team. So right now, a lot of weapons on this offense. Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Christian McCaffrey now a full season. You can't beat that, obviously, if he stays healthy. So good weapons around them. And last season, Purdy did have some big ball games. He wasn't just a game manager. He made all the right throws and has a good IQ for the game as Brock Purdy. So this season, we'll see if he can make another jump after last season, a 7th rounder coming in and leading his team pretty much deep into the playoff run. So right now, that's the top 20 quarterbacks I'm ranking entering the 2023 fantasy football season.